put my seeds down about 8 weeks ago and look at these beautiful little plants. Absolutely fantastic. Lush, full and strong and ready for planting. Tomatoes are pretty easy to plant, but I do have a few tips for you. You don't want your young plants or the soil you're planting into to be dry, so if needed, water both before planting. If you haven't put any support in yet, then do so before you plant to avoid any root damage later on. I've gone for a mixed bag of supports. Up the back I've used 2 White's Grip and Grow kits and joined them with an optional Grip and Grow panel. This lets me plant 1 tomato in each corner and they'll still have loads of room to spread out and up. Next is a cage made with White's tomato mesh. Now I've used 2 Ultra posts to support my cage because this is only intended for 1 plant. If you wanted to make a cage big enough for a couple of plants, then you can do that. Just use more posts to make sure it's got enough support. Then there's the White's tomato cage kit. This is the 1.6 metre stake kit. I'm going to use the larger 1.9 metre jumbo kit in my pot. Then right up front, I have the White's veggie and tomato cage. I've just gone for the regular galvanised finish, but remember you can get tomato cages in a range of colours. This can be useful for just adding a splash of designer colour to your garden beds, or you can use them for colour coding different varieties of tomatoes. Time to get planting. Now you might recall I said at seeding time that I preferred using cell trays, and this is why. When you raise plants from seed and you do so in a traditional seedling flat, it comes time to plant and you've got to break them all apart and you'll damage a lot of those fine roots. This will slow down their development when you put them in the ground. There's none of that with cell trays. Each plant is growing independently, so all you need to do is gently squeeze them out and they're ready to go. Clear your mulch back a little and then dig the planting hole. Positioning of your planting hole is important and it depends on the support you're using. With any of the tubular supports, you'll obviously put your tomato in the centre, unless of course you've made a bigger tomato mesh cage for a couple of plants, in which case bias the 2 plants off from the centre evenly spaced. With the Grip and Grow kit, centre the hole on the main panel and have it stepped out a little from the face. You've probably heard us horticultural types tell you to never plant a plant deeper than it was in its existing pot. Well, here's an exception to that rule. Tomatoes can quickly develop roots from their stems. This means that you can plant them deeper and they will establish faster and have better support. You can put them in almost all the way up to these first leaves. Do try to avoid disturbing or damaging the roots when you plant, and when you push the soil back in, don't press it down too much. You might have noticed I haven't been putting any fertiliser into the planting holes. Don't. It can be too strong for young roots and can do them a lot of damage, setting them right back. It is, however, a good idea to feed them, so what I like to do is put a circle of fertiliser just outside the planting root zone and cover this back over with mulch. Water in thoroughly but gently. If you do this with a seaweed-based solution, it will help speed up root development and reduce any transplant shock. Now the main thing you need to do is keep them well watered. That means not too wet and not too dry. Do that and you're well on your way to your first harvest of juicy tomatoes.